The stars looked like tiny dots from Earth. Most humans never thought much about them. They were just pretty lights in the night sky. But Olivia Wright knew better. She worked at the Deep Space Listening Station in the Nevada desert, where giant satellite dishes pointed up at the sky day and night. Her job was to listen for signals from space. It was late on a Tuesday night. Olivia sat alone in the control room, sipping her third cup of coffee. The screens in front of her showed the usual patterns of cosmic noise. Static from distant stars. Radio waves from dying suns. The normal sounds of space. Then something changed. At first, it was just a small blip on her screen. A pattern that repeated, then again, and again. Olivia put down her coffee cup and leaned forward. This wasn't random noise. This was a signal, a pattern. Something was broadcasting from deep space. That's impossible, she whispered to herself. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she tried to clean up the signal. The pattern became clearer. It wasn't from Earth. It wasn't from any of the satellites or space stations humans had built. It was coming from the direction of Proxima Centauri, the closest star to our sun. Olivia reached for the red phone on her desk, the one they were told never to use unless it was extremely important. Her hand shook slightly as she dialed. Sir, this is Wright at Station 7. I'm picking up a signal. I think ... I think it's an SOS. 3 days later, the top scientists and military leaders of Earth gathered in a secure room beneath the Pentagon. General Frank Miller stood at the front, his face serious as he looked at the people around the table. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm about to tell you is classified at the highest level, he said. 3 days ago, we received a signal from Proxima Centauri. Our best code breakers and linguists have been working on it. We believe it's a distress call. The room filled with whispers. Dr. Susan Lee, the head scientist, raised her hand. Are you saying it's aliens? General Miller nodded. Yes, the signal contains mathematical patterns that couldn't happen naturally. And there's more. We've managed to decode parts of it. It includes coordinates, what appears to be a universal distress symbol, and fragmented information about an attack. An attack? Asked Secretary of Defense William Porter. Are you saying there's a war out there? We don't know, General Miller admitted, but the signal is urgent. Someone or something is in trouble. Captain Samuel Carter sat silently. End of the table. At 35, he was younger than most of the others in the room. His short brown hair was neatly trimmed, and his blue eyes watched carefully as the others talked. He commanded the USS Horizon, Earth's first ship capable of traveling at near light speed. It was still being tested, not yet ready for a real mission. General Miller looked at him. Captain Carter, how soon can the Horizon be ready to launch? Carter was surprised. Sir, the Horizon is still in testing. We haven't completed all the safety protocols. How soon, Captain? Miller repeated. Carter thought for a moment. With emergency protocols ... 5 days. But sir, we're just a test ship. We're not equipped for first contact or any kind of rescue mission. You're all we've got, Captain, Miller said simply. Whatever sent that signal might not have 5 days, but it's the best we can do. In the 5 days that followed, the Horizon was loaded with extra supplies, weapons, and emergency equipment. The small crew worked around the clock to prepare the ship. Lieutenant Daniel Powell checked the weapon systems again and again. He was a tall, strong man with dark skin and serious eyes. This is crazy, he said to Carter as they worked. We're supposed to be testing the engines, not flying off to meet aliens. Orders are orders, Carter replied, though he shared Powell's concerns. Navigation Officer Lisa Winters was more excited. A small woman with short blonde hair and bright eyes, she had joined the space program dreaming of discoveries. Think about it, she said as she programmed the coordinates. We're going to be the first humans to meet alien life. Dr. Christopher, Green, the medical officer, was more cautious. "We don't know what we're flying into," he reminded them. "This could be dangerous." Engineer Kelsey Mason and Science Officer Alan Bennett worked together to prepare the ship's systems. Mason, with her red hair tied back in a practical ponytail, focused on making sure the engines could handle the journey. Bennett, tall and thin with glasses, tried to prepare for every possible scenario they might encounter. On the day of launch, the 6 crew members stood before General Miller for their final briefing. "Your mission is simple," Miller told them. "Go to these coordinates. Find out who sent the distress call. Offer help if you can. But remember, your primary mission is to gather information and return safely to Earth. We need to know what's out there." Carter nodded. "Yes, sir." As they boarded the ship, Carter felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. They were about to go further than any humans had ever gone before. They were about to answer a call from the stars. The launch was smooth. The horizon rose from Earth on a column of fire, breaking free from gravity's pull. Once they were in space, Mason activated the experimental drive. The stars seemed to stretch around them as the ship accelerated to near light speed. The journey to Proxima Centauri would take just over 4 years at normal speeds. With the experimental drive, they would arrive in just under 5 days. During those 5 days, the crew prepared as best they could. They studied the distress signal over and over. Bennett worked with the ship's computer to create possible translation algorithms. Green prepared medical supplies that might work on non-human biology. Powell checked and rechecked the weapons systems, hoping they wouldn't be needed. On the 5th day, as they approached Proxima Centauri, Carter called the crew to the bridge. "We don't know what we're going to find," he told them. "But whatever happens, remember that we represent Earth. We are the first humans these beings will meet. Let's make sure we give a good impression." The ship slowed as they entered the Proxima Centauri system. Winters guided them toward the 3rd planet, where the signal originated. "Captain," she said suddenly, "I'm detecting ships in orbit around the planet." On the main screen, they saw them. Strange crystalline vessels, elegant and deadly. They were firing energy weapons at the planet's surface. "Open a channel," Carter ordered, "to all vessels. This is Captain Samuel Carter of Earth. We are responding to a distress call." For a moment, there was silence. Then the strange ships turned toward the horizon. Energy built up at the front of the lead ship. "They're charging weapons," Powell shouted. Carter's face hardened. "Shields up. Evasive maneuvers." The peaceful mission had just turned into something else entirely. Humanity's first contact with alien life would be in battle. And the aliens were about to learn that humans from Earth were not to be taken lightly. The first blast from the alien ship hit the horizon before they could fully raise their shields. The control room shook violently. Warning lights flashed red across every screen. "Damage report," Carter shouted over the blaring alarms. "Engineer." Mason's fingers flew across her console. "Engine 3 is offline. Shield generators at 60%. Carter gripped the arms of his command chair as the ship rocked again. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. They had come to answer a distress call, not fight a battle. "Return fire," he ordered. Lieutenant Powell didn't hesitate. The Horizon's weapons weren't designed for space combat, but Earth's military had always prepared for the worst. The ship carried experimental railguns and missile systems that no one had expected to use so soon. The first volley of railgun. Fire surprised the alien vessels. The projectiles moved at a fraction of light speed, punching through the shields of the nearest crystalline ship. Direct hit. Powell called out, a note of surprise in his voice. On the main screen, they watched. As the damaged alien ship spun away, leaking a strange blue energy from its wounded side. 2 more ships approaching, Officer Winters warned. They're changing formation. The alien vessels moved with graceful precision, like dancers in space. Their crystal structures caught the light of Proxima Centauri, sending rainbow reflections. Across the void, they're communicating with each other, Science Officer Bennett said, studying his readings. The patterns suggest a hive mind approach. Each ship might not be independent. Carter nodded. If they share information instantly, they'll adapt to our weapons quickly. Powell, vary your attack pattern. Don't let them predict our moves. The battle that followed was unlike anything taught in Earth's military academies. The alien ships were faster and more maneuverable, but the Horizon was surprisingly resilient. Human engineering had built the ship to withstand micrometeorites, radiation, and the stresses of near-light speed travel. It wasn't pretty or elegant like the alien vessels, but it was tough. They're targeting our engines, Mason called out, redirecting power to rear shields. Carter watched the battle unfold with a mix of fear and determination. He hadn't wanted this fight, but he wouldn't let his crew or his ship be destroyed. Powell, target their weapon nodes. Those crystal formations at the front of each ship. The lieutenant adjusted his aim. The railguns fired again, sending supersonic projectiles toward the lead alien vessel. The impact shattered one of the crystal formations, and the ship's weapons immediately went dark. It worked, Powell shouted. The third ship is retreating, Winters announced, watching her scanners. It's breaking orbit and moving away from the planet. Carter allowed himself a small breath of relief. Status of the damaged enemy ships? One disabled, one destroyed, Powell reported. Sir, we actually won. But Carter knew the battle wasn't truly over. Scan the planet. Find the source of the distress signal. Bennett worked quickly at his station. I'm detecting a settlement, or outpost on the northern continent. There are life signs, but they're faint. Take us down, Carter ordered. We came to answer a distress call. Let's finish the mission. The Horizon limped toward the planet's surface. Engineer Mason worked frantically to repair the damage they had sustained. Medical Officer Green prepared the sickbay for possible alien casualties. What do we know about the beings who sent the distress call? Carter asked Bennett. The science officer shook his head. Very little. The message contained no visual data, but based on the atmospheric composition of this planet, they likely breathe an oxygen-nitrogen mix similar to Earth. The gravity is about 70% of ours. So they might be similar to us, Carter said thoughtfully. In some ways, Bennett replied, but evolution on different worlds can take strange paths. As they entered the planet's atmosphere, they saw the devastation below. The alien outpost was partially destroyed, with strange dome-shaped buildings cracked open like eggs. Fires burned across the landscape. Find a safe landing zone, Carter told Winters. She guided the ship down to a flat area about half a mile from the outpost. As the engines powered down, Carter gathered his away team. Powell, Mason, Green, you're with me. Bennett, you monitor from here. Winters, keep the ship ready for immediate takeoff, if necessary. They donned their environmental suits as a precaution, even though Bennett's readings suggested the air was breathable. Carter led them down the ramp and onto the alien world. Gravity felt strange, making each step seem bouncy and light. The sky above was a deep purple, with Proxima Centauri glowing red on the horizon. The air smelled of ozone and something else, something alien. They approached the damaged outpost. Cautiously, the buildings were made of a strange, pearlescent material that seemed to shift colors as they moved. Most were damaged or destroyed. Life signs are coming from that structure, Green said, pointing to a dome that was mostly intact. Multiple. Readings. Carter approached the entrance, which was a simple circular opening. Hello? He called out, not knowing if anyone would understand. We received your distress call. We're here to help." For a long moment, there was silence, then movement in the shadows. A figure emerged slowly. Cautiously, Dot stood on two legs. Like a human, but that was where the similarity ended. It was tall and thin, with forearms and skin the color of pale blue ice. Its head was elongated, with no visible nose or ears. But most striking were its eyes, 4 of them, arranged in a diamond pattern on its face. They blinked independently at the humans. More of the creatures appeared behind the first one. They were all injured in some way. Burns, cuts, broken limbs. They stared at the humans with what seemed like a mixture of fear and hope. The lead alien raised one of its 4 hands in what might have been a greeting. It made a series of clicking and whistling sounds. "I can't understand you," Carter said gently. He pointed to himself. "Human, from Earth, we received your distress call." The alien seemed to consider this. Then it tapped a device on its chest. A soft glow emanated from it, and a mechanical voice spoke. "You ... not Coalition. What ... are you?" "We're humans," Carter repeated. "From planet Earth. We received your distress signal and came to help." The alien's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. "Humans. Not known species. How survive Rexian attack?" Carter looked back toward the sky, where they had fought the crystal ships. "Those were Rexians? We fought them off." This caused a stir among the aliens. They whistled and clicked to each other rapidly. The lead alien's device translated again. "Impossible. Rexian ships too powerful. You ... what kind of beings?" "Doctor." Green stepped forward slowly. "I'm a doctor. A healer. I can help your wounded." The alien studied them for a long moment. Its 4 eyes blinked in a pattern that suggested deep thought. Finally, it seemed to make a decision. "I am Lur. We are Nazarians. You are ... unexpected help." It gestured to the wounded behind it. "Please ... As Green began treating the injured aliens with Mason's assistance, Carter spoke more with Lur. They learned about the Galactic Coalition, a peaceful alliance of thousands of species. The Nazarians were part of this coalition. The Vrexians were not. They were conquerors who had been attacking coalition outposts for months. "Why did they attack you?" Carter asked. Lear's translator crackled. "Resources, information, cruelty." It paused. "Your ship." "How defeat Rexians? They never lose." Carter shrugged. "We're pretty tough. Our world has high gravity, extreme temperatures. We built our ship to survive harsh conditions." Lear's eyes widened. "You from Deathworld? Deathworld?" Carter was confused. "Planets too harsh for most life. Dangerous. Coalition avoids contact with Deathworld species. Too ... unpredictable." Carter began to understand. To these aliens, humans were the scary ones. Evolved on a world that would kill most galactic species. Built tough by natural selection. He looked at his crew, seeing them suddenly through alien eyes, as dangerous creatures from a deadly planet. "The Vrexians made a mistake," he said quietly. "They shouldn't have sent that distress call to Earth." Lear's translator hummed. "Not mistake. Desperate choice. Now Coalition will know about humans." All 4 eyes blinked simultaneously. "Everything will change." News of the human intervention spread quickly through the Galactic Coalition. On the Grand Council world of Celestis Prime, representatives from 500 species gathered in the Great Chamber to discuss this unexpected development. The chamber was a massive dome with seats arranged in rising circles. Each seat adjusted to the unique biology of its occupant. Some counselors breathed methane, others floated in water tanks. Despite their physical differences, they shared one common trait. They all evolved on worlds much gentler than Earth. Counselor Zav of the Iridian Cluster spoke first. He was a short, stocky being with gray skin and 3 eyes. This is deeply concerning. Humans are Deathworlders. Their planet has nearly twice the gravity of standard coalition worlds. They endure temperature swings that would kill most of us. Their world is filled with toxic elements and aggressive predators. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. They should be contained immediately, Zav continued. Their natural strength and aggressive tendencies make them dangerous. If they spread through our space, they could destabilize thousands of years of peace. Ambassador Elara of the Solarian Republic rose to speak next. She was tall and willowy, with golden skin that seemed to glow from within. But they responded to a distress call. They saved Nazarian lives at risk to their own. That suggests empathy, not just aggression. The debate continued for hours. Some counselors feared the humans. Others were curious. A few suggested immediate diplomatic contact. Meanwhile, back at Proxima Centauri 3, the USS Horizon was being repaired with Nazarian help. Their technology was different from Earth's, but Engineer Mason quickly learned to work with it. Their power systems are incredibly efficient, she told Captain Carter as they walked through the ship. But their structural engineering is delicate. They build everything like it's made of glass. They evolved on low-gravity worlds, Carter replied. They never needed to build things as strong as we do. In the medical bay, Dr. Green was comparing notes with a Nazarian healer. The alien used light-based tools that could seal wounds without touching them. Their medical technology is amazing, Green told Carter later. But their bodies are fragile compared to ours. Their bones break easily. Their skin tears. They can't handle extreme temperatures or radiation. Science Officer Bennett was equally fascinated by what he was learning. Captain, do you understand what this means? What they call a death world is just Earth, normal to us. But to most galactic species, our home would kill them in days. Lieutenant Powell was less impressed, so they're all soft. No wonder these Vrexians are pushing them around. Carter frowned at Powell's comment. Different doesn't mean worse, Lieutenant. The Nazarians built interstellar travel while we were still figuring out how to go to our moon. That evening, Carter met with Lur in the Nazarians' makeshift command center. The alien had 4 data screens floating around him, each controlled by one of his 4 arms. Our communication system is repaired, Lur said through his translator. Coalition Council is discussing humans. Are they worried about us? Carter asked. All 4 of Lear's eyes blinked in sequence. Yes, many fear Deathworlders. Your biology makes you natural warriors. We're not warriors by nature, Carter argued. We're explorers, scientists. Who build warships? Leru noted. Carter couldn't deny it. The Horizon was officially a test vessel, but it carried weapons. Earth had always prepared for the possibility that aliens might not be friendly. It seemed they were right to be cautious. The Vrexians will return, Lur said, changing the subject. They never accept defeat. How long do we have? Perhaps 1. Earth Week. They will bring larger fleet. Carter nodded. Then we need to contact Earth. They need to know what's happening. With Nazarian help, they boosted the Horizon's communication systems to send a faster-than-light message back to Earth. Carter recorded a detailed report about everything they had learned, the Coalition, the Vrexians, humanity's status as Deathworlders. Send. Reinforcements if possible, he concluded. But be diplomatic. These aliens aren't our enemies. They're just different. As the message sped toward Earth, the crew of the Horizon continued to learn about their new allies. The Nazarians were one of the oldest species in the Coalition, known for their skills in communication and diplomacy. They had 4 genders and lived for about 300 Earth years. It's fascinating, Bennett told Carter as they shared a meal. Their society is completely different from ours. They make decisions by consensus. No one leads, they just talk. Until everyone agrees. Sounds inefficient, Carter said. It is by our standards. But they're not facing predators or natural disasters every day. They have time. Carter was starting to understand. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill them constantly. They had to make quick decisions, take risks, fight to survive. It shaped not just their bodies, but their entire way of thinking. On the far side of the galaxy, the Vrexian Empire was also holding a council. But unlike the Coalition's debate, this was a military briefing. The Supreme Commander, a tall figure encased in crystalline armor, listened as his officers reported on the battle at Proxima Centauri 3. The unknown vessels used primitive but effective weapons, one officer said. Projectiles at extremely high velocities. No energy weapons detected. And the beings? The Supreme Commander asked. Unknown species. Not in our database. They call themselves humans. They claim to be from a planet called Earth. The Supreme Commander's crystal helmet glinted in the harsh light. Find this Earth. We will eliminate this new threat before it spreads. Little did the Vrexians know that their scout ships were about to make a critical discovery. Earth was not an advanced world with defensive fleets and planetary shields. It was a developing civilization that had just achieved faster-than-light travel. A perfect target. Back on Earth, General Miller sat in the White House Situation Room. As Carter's message played for the President and Joint Chiefs. Aliens, the President said when the message ended. Actual aliens, and they're at war. Not with us, Miller pointed out. Not yet. But the horizon engaged these Vrexians. That puts us in the fight, whether we wanted it or not. The Secretary of Defense nodded. If these Vrexians are as aggressive as the report suggests, they'll trace that message back to Earth eventually. The President stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the Washington Monument glowing in the distance. Then we need to be ready. General Miller, initiate Defense Protocol Alpha. If these aliens want to fight, we'll show them what humans can do. Across Earth, military bases went on high alert. Scientists were pulled from their regular work to focus on adapting what they had learned from the Horizons report. The world's nations, usually divided by politics and old rivalries, found common enemy to unite against. In space, Vrexian scout ships entered the outer edges of the solar system. They observed, recorded, and sent data back to their fleet. They saw a planet teeming with life, technology that was primitive by galactic. Standards and defenses that would crumble before a proper attack force. They believed they had found an easy target. They were wrong. The revelation of alien life united Earth in a way nothing ever had before. Old enemies became allies overnight. Resources once used for fighting each other were now directed toward a common goal, defending Earth from the Vrexian threat. General Evelyn Rodriguez stood in the United Nations Space Command headquarters, a new facility built beneath the Rocky Mountains. Large screens showed military leaders from around the world. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Carter's message arrived from Proxima Centauri. Our satellite network has detected unusual objects at the edge of our solar system, Rodriguez reported. They match the description of Vrexian scout ships. Intelligence suggests we have approximately 3 weeks before their main fleet arrives. 3 weeks to prepare for an alien invasion, said the Russian general on one screen. Not much time. We'll make it count, Rodriguez replied. Let's review what we know about our enemy and our advantages. The meeting continued as they discussed what they had learned from Carter's reports. The Vrexians relied on crystalline technology, using energy weapons and strong shields. They had a rigid command structure and fought with precise, coordinated tactics. They expect to face coalition species, Rodriguez noted. Beings who evolved on gentle worlds with low gravity and stable environments. They're not prepared for humans. After the meeting, Rodriguez visited the research labs where scientists and engineers worked day and night. They were studying the technical data Carter had sent, finding ways to adapt Earth's existing weapons and defenses. In one lab, scientists tested new armor made with materials designed to disperse energy blasts. In another, engineers modified fighter jets with concepts borrowed from Nazarian shield technology. "It's amazing what we can accomplish when we stop fighting each other," commented Dr. Lily Chun, the lead scientist. "Fear is a powerful motivator," Rodriguez replied. "And right now, everyone on Earth is afraid." At the United States Air Force Academy in Colorado, pilots trained in simulators programmed to mimic Vrexian ships based on the Horizon's battle data. The pilots learned to use Earth's atmosphere and gravity to their advantage, things the Vrexians weren't used to. Colonel Jack Rivera addressed the pilots after one training session. "The enemy has better technology, but we have home field advantage. Earth's gravity is higher than they're used to. Our atmosphere is thicker. Our planet has extreme weather, oceans, mountains, all things we can use as weapons." Similar preparations happened worldwide. Russian submarines were fitted with modified torpedoes. Chinese factories worked around the clock to build new defense systems. European scientists developed communication jammers that might affect Vrexian coordination. Meanwhile, at Proxima Centauri 3, Captain Carter and his crew prepared to return to Earth. The Horizon had been repaired and improved with Nazarian technology. "We're coming with you," Lur told Carter as they walked through the Nazarian outpost. "Coalition Council has agreed. I will serve as ambassador to Earth." Carter was surprised. "I thought the Council was afraid of Deathworlders." "Many still are," Lur admitted. "But Vrexians are a greater threat. Some believe humans might be useful allies." "Because we're good at fighting," Carter said with a hint of disappointment. All four of Lear's eyes blinked in sequence. "Because you survive where others cannot. Because you think differently. Because you helped us when you had no reason to." 3 Nazarians would travel with the Horizon back to Earth. Lur as ambassador, an engineer named Thala to help with technology exchange, and a scientist named Vril to study humans. The improved engines on the Horizon allowed them to return to Earth in just 4 days. As they approached the solar system, Carter was shocked by what he saw. "There's an entire fleet in orbit," he said as they neared Earth. "Those weren't there when we left." Officer Winters checked her scanners. "I'm counting over 50 ships. They've been busy while we were gone." The Horizon was escorted to the International Space Station, which had been expanded and militarized. As they docked, Carter saw that the station now bristled with weapons and new shield generators. General Rodriguez personally greeted them when they disembarked. Her eyes widened slightly at the sight of the Nazarians, but she quickly composed herself and offered a formal welcome. "The President is waiting to meet your guests," she told Carter. "But first, I need a full debriefing on what you've learned about Vrexian tactics." The next few days were a whirlwind of meetings, demonstrations, and information exchange. The Nazarians were amazed by how quickly humans had adapted their technology. "You built all this in 3 weeks?" Thala asked as she examined a fighter jet equipped with shield technology. "We're good at preparing for the worst," Engineer Mason explained. "On Earth, if you don't prepare, you don't survive." Vril, the Nazarian scientist, spent hours studying human biology and culture. "Fascinating," he said after visiting a boxing gym. "You hit each other for sport. On my world, any injury that draws blood is a serious crime." "Different environments, different values," Dr. Green replied. "When your world tries to kill you every day, a few bruises in a controlled setting don't seem like a big deal." Ambassador Lur met with world leaders at the United Nations, his forearms gesturing as his translator converted his clicks and whistles. to human language. Vrexians do not negotiate, he warned them. They conquer or destroy. They believe strength is only virtue. Your world is rich in resources they want. Then they'll have to fight for it, the American president responded. And humans don't surrender easily. As the days passed, Earth's defenses grew stronger. Satellites were converted to weapon platforms. Nuclear submarines were equipped with modified propulsion systems. Fighter jets received shields designed to withstand plasma weapons. But Earth's greatest weapon was its people. While physically stronger than most galactic species due to Earth's higher gravity, humans' true advantage was psychological. They had evolved expecting threats, preparing for worst-case scenarios, finding opportunity in crisis. When the Vrexian scout ships detected these preparations, they sent warnings back to their fleet. The humans were ready, and they were not what the Vrexians had expected. The Vrexian Supreme Commander received these reports with interest. They know we're coming. They prepare defenses. Should we delay the attack? An officer asked. No, the Zhao. Commander decided. They are still primitive. Their preparations show they understand the threat, but they cannot match our technology. We will crush them quickly and add their world to our empire. The Vrexian war fleet accelerated toward Earth. 100 ships, each carrying thousands of soldiers and enough firepower to level a city. On Earth, early warning systems detected their approach. General Rodriguez stood in the command center. As red dots appeared on the main screen, moving steadily toward Earth. They're here, she announced to the assembled military leaders. All defense forces to battle stations. Operation Homeworld begins now. Around the world, soldiers and pilots moved to their positions. Civilians headed to shelters. The first battle for Earth was about to begin. In orbit, Commander Jason Rivera of Earth's newly formed Space Defense Fleet addressed his pilots. They think we're monsters because we survived a world they consider uninhabitable. Let's show them why. The Battle of Earth, as it would later be recorded in Coalition archives, began at dawn on a Tuesday. The Vrexian fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel just beyond the moon's orbit. 100 crystalline ships, gleaming in the sunlight, arranged in perfect formation. In Earth's newly established Space Command Center, General Rodriguez watched the alien fleet appear on the main screen. Beside her stood Captain Carter and Ambassador Lur. They're exactly where we predicted, Rodriguez said. Operation Homeworld is a go. The Vrexian Supreme Commander observed Earth from his flagship. His sensors showed Earth's defensive fleet, a collection of hastily modified ships and satellites. That seemed primitive compared to his armada. Pathetic, he said to his officers. They think these toys can stop us. He gave the order to advance. The Vrexian fleet moved forward in tight formation, their crystalline ships glinting like deadly jewels against the blackness of space. What the Vrexians didn't know was that humans had prepared more than just a direct defense. Centuries of fighting each other had taught humans to be creative in warfare. Activate the minefield, Rodriguez ordered. Throughout the space between Earth and the moon, thousands of small devices suddenly powered up. They had been placed there over the past 3 weeks, disguised as debris or meteorites. Now they came to life, generating powerful electromagnetic pulses. The first wave of Vrexian ships hit the hidden minefield. Their shields flickered as the pulses disrupted their energy systems. Several smaller ships fell out of formation, their crystal structures cracking. What is happening? Demanded the Supreme Commander as his flagship rocked from an unseen impact. Unknown. Energy devices, reported an officer. They are affecting our shield harmonics. The commander's crystal helmet glinted angrily. Push forward. Their tricks will not stop us. The Vrexian fleet pressed on, but now they were scattered. They're perfect. Formation broken. This was exactly what Earth had planned. Launch fighters, Rodriguez ordered. From bases around the world, squadrons of fighter jets rocketed into the sky. They had been modified with Nazarian shield technology and new weapons, designed specifically to target crystal structures. Commander Rivera led the first wave in his modified F-35. "Remember your training," he told his pilots over the radio. "Use Earth's gravity well. Lead them into the atmosphere if possible. Their ships aren't built for atmospheric flight." The space around Earth erupted in battle. Human fighters darted between the larger Vrexian vessels, firing weapons that sent cracks spreading through. Crystal hulls. The Vrexians returned fire with energy weapons that could vaporize a fighter in a single hit, if they could hit them. What shocked the Vrexians was the unpredictability of human tactics. Where coalition species fought with careful strategy and coordination, humans seemed almost chaotic. Fighters would fly directly at Vrexian ships, veering away at the last second. Others would shut down all systems, drifting like debris until a Vrexian ship passed close, then power up and attack. "These creatures are insane," a Vrexian officer reported. "They take risks no rational being would consider." In the command center, Lur watched the battle with all four eyes wide. "Your pilots are doing maneuvers that would kill Nazarians from G-forces alone. Humans can withstand up to 9 gigaseconds with proper training and equipment," Carter explained. "It's one of our Deathworld advantages." The battle wasn't only happening in space. Vrexian landing craft broke through Earth's defenses, heading for major cities. They expected to find soft targets. Instead, they found prepared defenders who had been drilling for this moment for weeks. In New York, London, Beijing, and other cities worldwide, soldiers with new energy-resistant armor met the Vrexian ground forces. The aliens were physically stronger than humans in the lower gravity of their homeworlds, but on Earth they struggled. Their crystal armor, designed for space and low-gravity environments, cracked under its own weight. What truly turned the tide, however, was a discovery made by communications officer Olivia Wright. Back at the Deep Space Listening Station in Nevada, she had been analyzing Vrexian communications since the battle began. "General," she called Rodriguez from her station, "I've found a pattern in their communications. They use a specific frequency to coordinate their ships. Can we disrupt it?" Rodriguez asked. "Better," Wright replied. "I think we can send false commands." With help from Nazarian technology and Earth's most powerful transmitters, Wright broadcast a signal on the Vrexian command frequency. It contained simple but devastating instructions, conflicting orders, emergency retreat signals, and false information about human fleet positions. In space, Vrexian ships suddenly broke formation, some firing on each other, others retreating to defensive positions that didn't exist. "What is happening?" the Supreme Commander demanded as his fleet fell into chaos. "Multiple command signals," an officer reported. "We cannot determine which are authentic." For a species that relied on perfect coordination and hierarchy, this was devastating. The Vrexian fleet began to fragment as ships followed different orders, each believing they were obeying the Supreme Commander. Rivera saw the opportunity and signaled his fighters. "They're confused. Hit them now." Earth's fighters swarmed the disorganized Vrexian vessels. Ships that might have been untouchable, in perfect formation, were now vulnerable. Crystal hulls shattered under concentrated fire. The Supreme Commander watched in fury as his fleet was decimated. These primitives, these Deathworlders, had somehow turned his own command structure against him. "Retreat," he finally ordered. "All ships withdraw." The surviving Vrexian ships attempted to regroup, but Earth wasn't done yet. A second wave of human vessels appeared from behind Earth's moon, where they had been hiding. Led by a retrofitted USS Horizon, they cut off the Vrexian escape route. "This is Captain Samuel Carter to all Vrexian vessels," Carter broadcast. Your fleet is defeated. Surrender or be destroyed. The Supreme Commander's ship turned to face this new threat. Deathworlders do not dictate terms to the Vrexian Empire, he replied, charging his main weapon. The Horizon fired first. Its railguns, now enhanced with Nizarian technology, sent projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed directly into the Vrexian flagship. The crystalline vessel shattered like glass, exploding in a brilliant display of light and energy. With their leader destroyed and their communications in chaos, the remaining Vrexian ships fled, jumping to faster-than-light speed in different directions. In the Space Command Center, cheers erupted as the enemy retreated. Earth had won its first interstellar battle. Ambassador Lur approached General Rodriguez. The Coalition will not believe this, he said. No one has defeated a Vrexian fleet of this size before. We had advantages they didn't expect, Rodriguez replied, and we fight hardest when defending our home. In the days that followed, Earth began to clean up the debris of battle and tend to its wounded. But they also prepared for what might come next. The Vrexians would return, perhaps with a larger force. Earth needed to be ready. With help from the Nizarians, humanity sent a message to the Galactic Coalition. It contained data from the battle and a simple statement. Earth was ready to join the galactic community not as conquerors, but as defenders. A month later, a coalition diplomatic fleet arrived in Earth's orbit. Representatives from 20 species came to meet with Earth's leaders. Many were still nervous about dealing with Deathworlders, but they could not ignore humanity's victory against their common enemy. In the United Nations Hall, Ambassador Lur introduced the coalition representatives to the assembled human leaders. Humans did not ask to evolve on a Deathworld, Lur told the gathering, but it taught them something valuable. Life finds a way. They join our coalition, not as conquerors or warriors, but as survivors. And we have much to learn from each other. Captain. Carter stood at the back of the room, watching history being made. The distress call that had brought the Horizon to Proxima Centauri had changed everything. The aliens had made what they thought was a mistake, sending an SOS that reached Earth. But that mistake had united humanity and brought them to the stars. As Carter looked at the diverse aliens now talking with human leaders, he smiled. The galaxy was vast and full of wonders, and humanity was finally taking its place among the stars.